If you're feeling frustrated that your hair and your makeup and your clothing just aren't working, something is off and you don't feel that you look your best, then today I'm going to show you the magic that can happen when your hair, your makeup and your colour season are all in alignment. You won't want to miss this. So I have transformed my hair colour from the previous golden blonde colour that many of you commented was a very warm shade, and I have now dyed it to a very cool, very dark brown, which I think is more in alignment with my soft summer colour result. Many of you commented that you could see cool tones in my skin, warm overtones, a little bit of olive, but many of you commented on how warm my hair was, and that is one of the problems. If you have got naturally dark hair and you try to lighten it, just always goes goldy sort of orange colour, and I'm grown tired of battling with that orange colour, that orange shade that wants to keep coming through, because the orange warm hair isn't in alignment with my soft summer colouring, and it certainly threw a few of you off who believed that I was warm. There was a few suggestions that maybe I was a spring, but overwhelmingly people could see that I was a cool or a neutral or potentially a little bit of an olive skin tone. So my hair now is in magical alignment with my overall skin tone. I'm still contending with the slight golden overtone, which I think maybe is what produces the olive result. So I have a very cool undertone, but I do have this slight golden overtone, which also makes selecting a foundation a little bit confusing. But I have noticed that when I go too warm on the foundations, it does make me look a bit sallow, a bit yellow, a bit muddy. So I am going to be doing, very soon, I'm going to be doing a video testing out neutral and cool foundations on my skin to see which one's best, because in the last video I tested the Lancome Cool shade and a lot of you responded in the comments saying the cool shade matches you perfectly. So I am going to be doing another video testing more neutral and cool shade foundations. But today we are redoing our makeup so that we are in alignment with our hair and our cool or cool olive undertone. And that is going to mean refreshing my look, refreshing the colours that I have used, perhaps some of the slightly warmer shades that I was using to kind of blend with my golden hair. They might not work for me anymore. So I think today we're going to do our makeup in a cooler tone than usual. And I think now with this increased contrast from the dark hair, it might be that I actually need that little bit more drama in the makeup to kind of balance out the darkness as well. So let's get stuck in and refresh my makeup to suit and be in alignment with my soft summer colouring. So I am rather excited to be trying today the Natasha Denona High Glam foundation, which has been trending all over YouTube. I have picked this in the shade N4 for the foundation and N3 for the concealer. So it's going to be interesting to see if this hydrating and blurring long wear radiant serum foundation in neutral shades is going to work for my new soft summer colouring. It's going to be interesting to see whether neutral still works for me, or it might be that cool actually works a bit better, but that's what we're going to cover in the next video. But today we're going to go with this neutral N4 and N3. Here is our Natasha Denona foundation in N4, and as usual I'm going to put a couple of pumps on my palette. So on the Natasha Denona website, there are a lot of shades on this foundation, something like 49 different shades, I think it is. That might not be the exact number, but it's something along those lines. And this is the shade N4, and this is described as a light neutral. Actually, I didn't swatch it for you. Let me swatch this shade onto my skin. I think that's a pretty good match, actually. That's disappearing fairly well. So it's described as hydrating and blurring, and it's a serum foundation. So I am expecting a kind of glossy, glowy finish. I expect it to kind of be a little bit on the radiant side. I don't expect to see a matte finish at all. But so far, this is looking pretty nice. And actually, I think that my warm toned hair was throwing off my foundation, because when I was using a neutral foundation before, it could sometimes look like it just wasn't quite right, even when it was. And I think that if you have got your hair colour out of alignment with your rest of your colour, then it's going to make it harder for you to find the right foundation shade and to find the right makeup shades, simply because you've got the clashing of colours. And when your skin is clashing with your hair, it can be quite difficult to work with that. I mean, I've been battling it for some time, and part of my frustration with makeup, I think, was coming from that lack of harmony. And I think that now that my hair is more aligned with my natural colouring, when I was younger at least, because now I do have some greys, but it is still in alignment with my eyebrow shade actually, so that's the good thing. So now I have hair that is actually matching my eyebrows, and so it's bringing a whole new level of kind of cohesion to the colours that I'm working with. I think that foundation looks really nice. So this is the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer. This is in the shade N3. So I've just gone one shade lighter from my foundation to my concealer, and I'm not going to use very much. I'm just going to put some across my kind of dark shadows on my eyes, and a little bit down my nose and across my nose here. Maybe across my top lip and here. Got carried away now. Let's just blend that in. It's very close in shade to the foundation, so we've got a very subtle lightening effect around the centre of the face from that. I have got some really exciting powders to try today. I am going to try the Hourglass Translucent Setting Powder Veil. We're going to give that a go and see how that works as our setting powder today. And I also have this Celestial Light Catcher Loose Setting Powder from Laura Mercier. But we're not going to go in with this one alone, because I did try this and it has got a kind of a highlighting, kind of glowing effect. So it's a little bit too much to use over the whole face, but I think in conjunction with the Hourglass regular setting powder, we can use this just to create some sparkle and highlights. But before that, I am going to go in with my Patrick Tar bronzer. This is Patrick's signature dual formula. So we have a powder bronzer and a cream bronzer. I am going to use both of those. And this is in the shade She's Statuesque. So Patrick's technique is to go in with the powder first. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to apply the powder around my hairline, and that will probably help us blend in with this very dark hair colour as well. Hopefully it'll help kind of merge the brightness and lightness of my skin with the darkness of my hair. And then I am going to go in a moment with the cream bronzer on top. Now applying the cream bronzer. I find the cream bronzer to be a little bit on the cooler side, which is rather nice. Okay, I'm happy with the bronzer, so let's give this Hourglass Setting Powder Veil a bit of a go. This is a translucent setting powder. This is how it looks inside. This is definitely one of the more cautious setting powders I've tried. I think you put the lid on and tap it upside down, and only a very small amount of powder is coming out of there. I'm not really sure any other way of getting it out. So let's just go all over with a light dusting of this powder. Okay, so I just tapped this into the lid without it being screwed on, and that gave me a bit more powder came out, and then I tipped it back into this one to swirl around. Okay, so it just describes this as a setting powder. It just says to apply a small amount of powder all over to set the makeup. So Hopefully that has set our Natasha Denona High Glam for us. It's certainly taken off some of the shine from the Natasha Denona, so I don't know if that's ideal or not, because it's certainly mattified it down, and if you were using the High Glam for that glossy finish, then you might not want to go in with this powder, because I think this has mattified things down quite a lot. But we do have the Laura Mercier. This is Celestial Light Catcher, and this is, it still says it's a translucent loose setting powder, but I found this definitely had a bit more sparkle and shine to it than the Hourglass one. So let's see if we can bring back some of our sparkle with this setting powder. I don't know, I wonder if you can see, that's giving a sort of a white glowing sort of effect, and so I'm going to be a bit cautious with this because I don't want to have a shining face all over, but it's rather nice for giving you a little bit of a light reflecting finish, and it's nice, it's brought back some of that glam glow quality of the foundation. I would say this is rather nice if you like a bit of sparkle but you don't want too much. So for the eyes today, I've got something new to try. I have got 4 different shades of the Laura Mercier Mini Caviar Stick Eyeshadows. I have a set of 3 here, which has 3 very nice wearable shades. And I've also bought a 4th one in the shade Amethyst, because I'm an absolute sucker for the shade Amethyst. So I've got 4 of those to try. But also I do want to try an eyeshadow primer with the eye sticks. And so I have got this Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer, and we're going to give that a go today as well. So the eye primer comes in this little tube, and it just appears to just squeeze out like that. So I've taken a dab of this, and I'm just going to use my finger at first to see. Oh, it's giving us a very light, base actually. It's one of those eye primers that's actually giving you a lightening colour. But hopefully that will work okay with our eye sticks. Oh, do this one. Interesting, this light eye primer business. Is it really necessary? I'm a bit worried it's going to affect the colour of the eye product, the eye sticks today, but I've put that all over. It feels quite thick actually. It feels like it really has clung on to the lids and is probably going to do something with our eye makeup. I just hope it doesn't stop us from blending it effectively. That's always my fear with a product like this, is that it might grab on too much and stop you from blending your eyes. That's looking okay. In fact, it's looking quite good on my, I've got kind of like half hooded lids, and that's quite nice actually. It sort of feels as though it has lessened the hooding somehow. That's interesting. Okay, let's go in with these caviar sticks. Okay, so here are our 4 caviar sticks. These are in the shades Amethyst, Rose Meringue, Wild Rose and Strapless. So I'm going to swatch these for you actually before we go in with them on the eye. This is Rose Meringue. This is Wild Rose. This is Strapless. And so those are the 3 from the trio set. They look really nice, don't they? Really shimmery. You can see them sort of glowing in the light. And this is the single I bought, Amethyst. So not too dissimilar from the previous shades. So I'm going on the upper lid with Rose Meringue, but I'm starting to regret that decision. I'm wishing I had actually gone lower down with it. So let's go all over with Rose Meringue, and then I will either use my finger or a brush to blend that out. Let's try a brush first. Definitely got the effect of the eye primer here, making everything look very light. Right, let's go in with Wild Rose next. Okay, that's looking a bit better, a bit darker. I'm a bit skeptical about this eye primer actually. I think maybe it's made my eyelids a bit too white looking. Okay, I'm going to go over my upper lid with the Amethyst. So that's the Amethyst colour stick going on. I'm just blending out the Amethyst shade. I think these three shades are looking really nice together, very cool toned. And I'm actually a little bit worried to use the third shade from the set because it looks a little bit more golden on my hand to me. I think we can probably get away with it. Perhaps we will try and use this near our crease a little bit. This is the shade Strapless. And I think with it being slightly differently toned to the rest, it's going to work well as a shadow. I think first of all I'll take Wild Rose under the eye, and then I think I might come back in with the Amethyst as well to darken that down a little. Actually, I'm going to take this Wild Rose across the centre of my eyelid for a little bit of colour and a little bit of highlight. Okay, I'm going to go back in under here with the Amethyst. I think these are very forgiving shades actually. You could probably do pretty much anything with them and it would look all right, or it would look pretty good in fact. I'm going to go along the lash line with the Amethyst. These feel very creamy and they do feel very malleable, and that's wonderful for putting on, but it does make me wonder about the longevity of them. It might be good for us to use a setting spray to keep these in place and stop them from moving around once we're finished. Okay, so I think that's about all I'm going to do with the eye sticks, with the caviar sticks. I think they were really nice actually, really easy to use, really creamy. Like I said, they might move around and transfer, so we might be good to go in with a setting spray in a moment. But let's finish up the eye with an eyeliner. So I have bought this mechanical eye pencil from Hourglass. This is in the shade Canyon to try. And let me, oh, it's very thin. Gosh, it's got a really tiny little end. And let me swatch that for you here. Wow. Yeah, that's really tiny, really precise. Because it's so precise, I am going to go on the outer side of my lashes rather than tight lining, because I want to see how close to my lashes I can get with this tiny little pencil. I am still experiencing my gapping that I get around my lashes, so I'm going to try and brush through my lashes with the pencil. Yeah, and because it's so tiny, that seems to be working to fill in those little gaps. Okay, let's just get a little brush to blend that eyeliner in a little. Give it a blurry edge rather than a harsh edge. I think on my eyes a blurry edge looks better, or certainly more forgiving if you haven't done it perfectly. Okay, there. Just go in with the Glash curler before I finish up the mascara. But also, I realise I haven't put a blush on yet, so I need to find a blush. So a couple of blushes that I love are these two from RMS Beauty. This one is in the shade Crystal Slipper, and this one is the shade Bermuda Rose. So I'm curious to see if these still work with my darker hair. I'm going in with the Crystal Slipper, but it is borderline neutral to warm tones, so it's going to be interesting to see if it still works with my darker hair. It might actually be fine because I got more of a soft summer complexion, and I think that comes from the golden overtone. I can still get away with a tiny little bit of warm in my makeup. Something, if you were a very pure cool, you might not get away with, but I have that kind of neutral, olivey skin tone, and so I kind of cross across into warm a little bit. So I don't know if this is cool or warm. Maybe it's just a neutral, but it's a really flattering, lovely shade. Okay, now let's go wild with some Bermuda Rose. This is a bit more scary because it's very high brightness pink, but let's give it a shot. Okay, I've gone in very gently with the Bermuda Rose, and I've also used the same brush, and so I think that is blending in absolutely beautifully. So to do my lashes, I have this Lancome Flutter Extension mascara. It's got a really teeny tiny brush, so I'm interested to see how that works. This is actually in True Black, which isn't really my colour, but hopefully we can get away with it just for the mascara. Here is our Flutter Extension mascara. And this is the very tiny brush that it has. Like I said, I wouldn't generally go in for a black mascara these days. I'm kind of moving across generally to brown, but I think with my darker hair, I'm probably better able to pull off black mascara now than I could before with the golden warm hair. That's going on really nicely. It's actually not applying all that much mascara, it feels, but when I go back in and get a little bit more, yeah, it's got a really soft texture to it, and I absolutely love soft, fluffy eyelashes. That is everything to me. The absolute miracle of this mascara is that it's so tiny, you can do your lower lashes as well without smudging all over. Well, maybe I did smudge. But the idea is you can do your lower lashes without smudging it down onto your face. Nobody's perfect. Okay, I think we're ready for our lip. I have today a couple of lip pencils from Hourglass to try out. These are Shape and Sculpt lip liners, and these are in the shades Tempt and Uncover. So this is the shade Tempt, and above that we have the shade Uncover. Both very similar, and in fact they may be a little bit too warm for me now, but we will press on. Anyway, I'm going to use one of those, and I also have an RMS Beauty Serum lipsticks. I absolutely love these lipsticks. I think they're incredible. So we've got an RMS Beauty lipstick, and this is in the shade May to try out. So hopefully these aren't going to be too warm toned. I think they are going to be a sort of a neutral sort of a shade. I certainly hope so. And let me swatch that one above it. So again, the third one here, that is our lipstick shade called May. So I'm going in with the shade Tempt on my lips to line them. And although I was worried this might be too warm a shade, I don't think it is. I think maybe it's very neutral actually, very lovely. And finally, the finishing touches with the shade May. These lipsticks are absolutely wonderful. Not only are they really beautiful to wear, but they do also leave a little bit of a tint on your lips, so as they wear off, it's not so obvious. These are really wonderful. Love it. So there we have it. Here is my completed look for my new dark, cool toned hair. What do you think? Did you prefer the golden warm hair before, or are you a fan of the very dark, cool hair? Please let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll try and link all the products that I have used down below so you can take a look at those if you want to. Like I said, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this video, please take a look at another video right here. Don't forget, stay curious, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.